Hi everyone. Hello. Hello, hello. Welcome to my another Halloween themed tour. This time it's about St. Petersburg. And I would say this is a special one, but I'm not gonna tell just now why it is that special, but it got me really, really nostalgic um because I am nostalgic. And and yes, Shabbat Shalom to everyone. Before we begin, before some more people join us, so let's just have some time talking about the tours that I will be doing in the well this weekend. There are a bunch of them as usual. There's going to be actually one more tour tonight on my YouTube. It's going to be a YouTube premiere, but this is a revisiting. This is a replay of my one-off Halloween tour in Asheville National Park that I did for Hago. And at that point, we already were able to download the recordings of our live streams, which only became possible as of late November 2021. And the bummer is that I have lots of recordings of the tours that I did for Hago after November, but because early November 2021 was not yet, we didn't really have that opportunity to record tours. I have no recordings of my Halloween tours. Neither do I have the recordings of my, boat tours, the cruises on the Neva River in St. Petersburg and many, many other tours are gone forever. And this is very sad on the one hand. On the other hand, that was the beauty of live stream tours, right? You're there exactly at that very moment and you're sharing the experience, you're sharing the emotions. I guess there was something to it. But right now, I often remember the tours. There are so many things that I remember. Sometimes they just come back it's like a flashback all of a sudden out of the blue. And I get nostalgic. And unfortunately, there's nothing I can really look through other than some postcards. But many of you also joined me after I moved to Israel and then further on. So many of you may actually have no connection and may have no idea of what I'm talking about, which is also fun, which is also interesting. But we all started and virtual. I joined virtual tours thanks to shortly before Hegel, but I came into my own. Everything just started. I would say exactly at the times of Hegel, but it's not the end as well. So that's why today I am revisiting the places of my Halloween tours back in St. Petersburg, and I know that for some of you this will be everything just absolutely new, and this is fun. And I prepared a surprise, but we will get to the surprise. I'm not going to tell you this right now. And before we begin, so what I'm going to be doing, so tonight is the replay of my Ashkelon one-off Halloween tour with Oscar the Bear. I was all dressed up, and I will be there on the chat, uh, just getting nostalgic with you all or just answering your questions. As you know, my Halloween tours are all based on not just some silly legends and spooky stories about ghosts and things like that. No, trust me, there are lots of spooky stuff from real history. And yeah, I would always use a couple of legends, but these legends would have at least some common sense in them. Happy Samhain, yes, and All Saints, that as well. And tomorrow, there are going to be three virtual tours. Not all of them are going to be about Halloween. So tomorrow, on the 2nd of November, I am taking my mom for a walk in Tbilisi. It should be quiet tomorrow. No protests. The protests are scheduled for Monday, so we should be good. It's going to be a special one. I've been planning this walk for a while, and I hope it will work. I hope. I can't guarantee. Even if it's not gonna work the way I want it, it's gonna work the other way too. Then there's gonna be a live work in Belize in Halloween mode. It's going to be after dark, that it's going to be just exactly what it should be done. And again, has nothing to do with Halloween. I'm taking it to Peter Hall's Palace, the Grand Palace, with World Virtual Tours. And this is the only tour that's not going to be recorded, which means I won't be able to share the replays with you. So try to join if you can, if you're interested. Also on Sunday, it's going to be another festival, Autumn Flower Festival in Tbilisi. And me and my mom, I really want to take my mom to the place. So we're going to be exploring the flower festival together with my mom, making memories. And it's going to be quite early in the day for most of you, but the replay on my YouTube will always be available. I mean, for 1 week. And thank you, Joanne, for telling me about the event. And also, Misha, my husband, is going to be talking about a very harsh 5 years of Russian history, 1910, 1915. And also, I'm going to be doing another Halloween themed tour, this time about the Holy Land, this time about Israel. And even though I'm just saying it again and again, that even though Halloween is not part of Jewish culture and religion, there are so many stories that would definitely fit the context. So, and the vibe. So there's enough to talk about. Okay. And also there's going to be another replay on YouTube. It's either it's either November 3rd or November 4th. I'm not sure because because of the clock changes. For me it's going to be midnight my time from November 3rd to November 4th. But for some of you it can be still November 3rd. This is okay. YouTube should be showing you your time zone. Thank you so much, Sharon, for plugging it out to me because it is definitely confusing for everyone. Without further ado, let me uh, start with the tour. Again, as I said, the surprise will come. Uh, well, you will see when it comes. Let's put it this way. And so I'm turning off chat. Let me see. Ooh, okay, that's also quite spooky. Nice. And I will start with the video. So tonight, we are revisiting some of the places that we visited back in November 2021. The parts of the or most of the videos were recorded at different times. Some of them are pretty old. It was uh, January 2023. Some of them are pretty young and fresh, but we will be, well, and some of them are part of a surprise, I would say. So, uh, I think just even the first image is already sets the mode and the tune. The thing is that there are a bunch of creepy stuff and creepy stories that would definitely feed the vibe and meet the vibe of Halloween tours. Let's even just start with the sphinxes. The sphinxes were brought to Russia in 1830s, and they were purchased several years before that from Alexandria. And they were with these sphinxes surfaced were found from were dug under the layers of sand in the sea. As you know, due to a Napoleonic campaign in Egypt, this whole craze about Egyptian culture, Egyptian mummies, all of a sudden started, and Europe went absolutely crazy about all things Egyptian. And obviously, every country and every aristocratic family, every royal family of Europe wanted to have something. So, thanks to a representative of Russia, he was uh, he he was part of the diplomatic mission in Europe, Andrei Muravyov. He just happened to see it on sale in Alexandria, and he contacted Emperor Nicholas I, who was in the office at that time, and well, he just asked him whether he would want to buy things and to put them somewhere in St. Petersburg. These sphinxes were found in Thebes. They date back to 14th century BCE, so they're more than 3,000, 3,500 years old. And they're the sphinxes that guarded the tomb of the pharaoh Amenhotep III. And as you know, no graveyard, no tombstone, no tomb likes it when it likes to be invaded. And as you know, there are so many stories of curses of pharaohs for the looters, for the vandals of uh, pyramids and different burial sites, not just in Egypt, everywhere. So the problem started just at the port of Alexandria. You might have noticed. So there are two sphinxes, and one of them misses the beard. So the ropes that were used to load the heavy sphinxes on the board of a ship Santa Esperanza, it just broke, and the sphinx damaged the ship, and also lost the beard. So it took some time, but eventually, several years later, the sphinxes were delivered to St. Petersburg, and it says here that the sphinxes from the ancient Thebes of Egypt were uh, delivered to the city of Peter the Great in 1830 in 1832. Um, so these sphinxes were placed by the river, by the Neva River, the university embankment, and the moment they were placed there, something strange started happening. All of a sudden, in that area, people started to commit a suicide. And it wouldn't be just one or two, it would be dozens a month. And obviously, most people would immediately put two and two together and claim that that happened due to the sphinxes, that they clearly had something suspicious in them, ominous, I would say. And I think it's really it checks out. What you see here, this characters, the hieroglyphs, they are just it was a big mystery up until early 20th century. And when people don't know things, they can imagine whatever they want, and they obviously would imagine some curses, some something of this type written on the pharaohs. But no, actually, it was just the full title of Amenhotep III. But this is true. People started to walk past and find some other ways just not to see the sphinxes, especially at night, and at at sunset. Even though this is a very beautiful area, and the big bridge, the Annunciation Bridge, is just there. So, but people indeed try not to look at the sphinxes because I will explain why shortly. So for those of you who watched my Halloween tours in early November 2021, you may find this familiar. Sorry for the quality, but this is the non-existent, well, what was considered non-existent recordings of my Halloween tour in St. Petersburg back in November 2021. It's all thanks to my longtime viewer, follower, and a very good friend, Richard, Richard Edmonds from London. He just happened to just do this, just to record the screen of his laptop because he couldn't always watch the tours, but he never wanted to miss out on them. So some of the tours he knew he wouldn't be able to watch in full. He just decided to record to be able to watch it later, and he just didn't delete them. I would say this is absolutely remarkable, and I had no idea. I just we just had a chit chat in October this year, early October, and then he just brought it up, and I couldn't believe my own eyes, my own ears. Obviously, that's why the quality is not that high, and I tried to Photoshop a little bit. I tried to enhance the video, but we have it. And I thought I'd lost that forever, but we have it. So that's why it is so special because you will see a lot of things, and those who hadn't seen any of that, I know many of you joined me after I moved to Israel, and then also after I moved to Amsterdam, and then Tbilisi. So it's going to be all fresh experience. So this is the same river, this is the same place, but just a different season. And to be honest, there was a very dark legend that if anyone looked into the eyes or just looked into the face of a sphinx after sunset, those people would be cursed. That's why people try to walk past this and never, never, never look at the sphinxes. This is true. That's the story. And there was an interesting case. It's not just that. Otherwise, it would be just a this urban legend with no reason, with no sense and common ground. Well, common sense, I mean, but something happened, and it is also connected with this building because this is the building of the Academy of Fine Arts, which I will be also mentioning on this tour, as well as I will be mentioning also some other creatures and some other mysteries of St. Petersburg. Um, yeah, and exactly because the Academy of Fine Arts is just across the street, things that would always be in the studies, in the etches, in the works of future artists, and that's exactly what what we watched in November. Just give me a second. I would like to check something. Right, there you go. It's important because there is a sound, and I forgot to turn it on, but now it's all good.
So one more special creatures we're going to talk today as well, but just a little later, the griffons. They're winged lions. They're supposed to guard the city. And if they think that something doesn't fit the city, is not good for the city, then you are, or this person is in big, big trouble.
Let me check if it works the way I want. If you've been able to hear anything, just need to double check. Otherwise, it would be a big, big, big bummer. But I hope it works. Let me know. I've just opened the chat. Very well. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you. Thank you. That's great. So I'm not taking any more of your time and patience. Thank you so much for bearing with me. And so, Damir Riyad, 1901. Who is this? It was an Egyptian, just a tourist that came to see St. Petersburg in 1901. And back then, because of the political situation, very unstable political situation in the country, in connection with some attempts to kill emperors, there was secret police that worked, I would say, on full force. And every foreign visitor would also be, well, at least noticed, and some of them would be under supervision, some of them would be just registered and kept an eye on. Demir Ariyad, for some time, he was followed by the secret police. However, he would just be visiting the restaurant, walk around the city. So the secret police quite quickly lost any interest to him whatsoever. And
A journalist got interested. Why? Because he would just spy on him, you know. Thank you, Olga. He would just spy, he would just follow the Egyptian man because behavior was pretty strange because he was one on the same itinerary every day. So he would come to these sphinxes, especially to this one, to the first one, or to the left one.
crazy.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you so much. It's like a bit, it's the Cleopatra who's more into punk music, I would say. Look, so she's pretty much into punk. I think it's, yeah, I think Sex Pistols maybe. That just looks this way. Anyway, and you know what? It would go like this. Every evening, he would sit on the bank just by these left sinks and would just draw something, jot something down, you know, in his notebook. And then one day he would disappear, and his body would be taken out from somewhere here from the Neva River. He drowned. You can find the information in the newspapers, so it's official in the City Chronicles.
And when they went to search his room to find any clues, at least some information on him, they found instruments that would be used for embalming the body, right? And also they found the sketches of the Sphinx, arguably the left Sphinx, and that Sphinx later on, as the people in the morgue would mention, that the face of the man looked just like the face of the Sphinx. But that was it. There was no more information. The newspapers would be quite curious. For some time, it was really hyped all over the newspapers in the city. But then it just died down. There was nothing to discuss. Just lots of mystery. That's the story number one. And yes, I know that that costume was ridiculous, but that makeup was so cool, and I had so much fun prepping for that Halloween tour. So that's why it would have been such a bummer just to really have no any any video from that day or night. So the building of the Academy of Fine Arts also has its mystery because uh, the academy was established. Well, the building was built by Catherine the Great. So this is late 18th century, and well, 1765 is the year when the building was. It would be the year when the building was started, and then it would take some more years to finish it completely. But the institution had already been there. And when it got to especially the decoration of interiors, which was extremely important for everyone, there was the architect Alexander Kokorinov, who was who was given the project, and he had some issues. Clearly, he was at odds with the dean, and is that we don't know exactly what happened. As if some legend has it somebody tipped the dean or reported on him to the dean of the academy, and he was accused of embezzlement. And Kokorinov just couldn't really get over it. He couldn't believe the accusation. He couldn't believe that the empress also believed the accusation. However, there was no trial. It was just allegations, just that. But it was enough for him to drive him to commit a suicide. And the story has it that he committed the suicide. He just hanged himself in the academy late in the evening. Some claim it happened in the library. Some
I'm on
claim it
my way
happened.
to take.
Some claim it happened in some of the in his study. We hard to tell.
You to a special, take it to a special garden. Have a look at this obelisk. we are in a garden. It's the very first, say, public garden, not established by a royal, by a Romanov family member. Hello, everyone. I just decided to change a little bit. I wanted a change.
So on that very tour, I changed the outfit, and I just decided to go with the costume of a witch. That was it, just because I wanted to have my fun. And this from this very first public garden established in late 19th century, some people would actually in this garden people would see a ghost. It was just a figure, well, just a figure of some man, all looking pale white. And then the students of the Academy of Fine Arts would mention the same. They would see that they would see some sort of a creature, all very white and pale, roaming around the corridors of the academy. And I think they just also put two and two together and figured that it could have been the same ghost. Let's see.
Oh, oh, my eyebrows are look really cool. So that's me. And I even have
Yeah, I have
my gun.
myself.
Anyway, so he died. And there were many rumors saying that he hanged himself somewhere in the attic of the Academy of Fine Arts. And for a long time, nobody could even find the grave of Kokorinov.
The problem is that well, in Christian tradition, especially in back in the days, the one who suicide is really, really, well, big sin. And normally people who committed suicide would not be buried in the cemetery. They would be buried elsewhere. And only in late 20th century, they found the grave of Kokorinov. And it was in the in the corner, in the outskirts of the cemetery. So it looks like he did committed the suicide. Somebody say attic, somebody say library. We don't know, but even nowadays, the students, well, just some 5 or 7 years ago, there was another report in the media that a student of the Academy of Fine Arts just witnessed some really strange paranormal activity. But we've now we passed the building, or we passed the garden, the public garden, and we are in the Repin street, the street of Ilya Repin, which who was the artist at the turn of the 20th century, early 20th century. He was the professor in the Academy of Fine Arts. I did a bunch of tours on Ilya Repin, and the street is just next to the building of the academy itself. And this street has a very bad reputation. And unfortunately, it has nothing to do with paranormal activity. It's about the actual atrocities of the Second World War. This street is really narrow, as you see, and um, it just happened to be a convenient place to store bodies of people. That just to store the bodies of dead people during the siege of Leningrad, which started in 1941 and lasted for 872 days. Mm, The city was completely cut off from all the facilities and supplies, and the first winter of 1941-42 was fierce. It was we do it in Celsius. It was like minus 40 degrees. So with no central heating, with no food, with no hot water, people just froze to death and died from hunger. And it was impossible to bury them because the ground was all in ice. That's why the bodies would be laid here, like in
Yes,
the gigantic refrigerator, waiting for the spring, so that everything would melt and people could be buried. Obviously, with such stories, real stories, uh, how can the street have a good reputation? And obviously, during the dark time of the day, it's quite scary to walk in there. And some specialists, some psychics, I don't really follow any psychics, but obviously it's a common, I would say, well, guides know this because guides get to guide the street. They would say lots of psychics would come to Ripon Street just to measure the activity, the energetic field, and all these things. And they would always claim that here the level would be quite high of the some sort of activity.
Following. There are cars here. I don't want to interfere, but I really want you to see me. Have the awesome dress. Look. I'm not sure if you can see me in the settings. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, that really looks cool. If you could take the postcard for me, that would be awesome. I'm just also enjoying the vibe. And there we go.
Yeah, I looked crazy, and people looked at me. But most people found it really nice. And Halloween is not really big in Russia, and I assume now it would be a lot even less popular because of the ideology now in the country. But it was still, people would have some parties. Kids loved it because it was just like another chance for them to dress up and just have fun. So yeah, it would be. I would say it's not a country-wide holiday, nothing like that. So it's very local and mostly among young generations. Now we are not leaving the Vasilyevsky Island because the Vasilyevsky Island is believed to be the area with a very high paranormal activity because it is built on the spot where there is a great magnetic field and very special magnetic field. And not only psychics, actually, also the astrologists and physicists even claim that there is a certain um, difference in uh, in the Vasilyevsky Island. There is something about it. But this is the backyard of the Academy of Fine Arts, and exactly in the yard, there are tables, and there is a horse riding school. And every weekend, actually, well, at least up until 2022, also several weekends on the week, there would be classes of the horse riding school. Um, so one more story. This is the archway of the shopping mall, old 19th century market. Vasily Market, named after the name of the market of the island, Vasilyevsky Island, the market of the Vasilyevsky Island. And
Wow, definitely my dress needs to be needs to be shown. Okay. Um, I love to see the postcards. So there's no way to take a picture of me, so I would really appreciate it. Okay, so just before I will say goodbye to you, I have one more story to share.
I'm not going to say goodbye to you just now, but after we talk about Mr. Pearl, or better say Herr Pearl, we are going to have a short Q&A and then we'll continue because this is not all. So Alexander Pearl was from he was German, and he lived in the so-called German, not a colony, German village. It's just the area on the Vasilyevsky Island where lots of foreigner communities of foreigners would be living. And he established, actually, it was his father that opened the first pharmacy. The Germans in St. Petersburg would mostly be in medicine and also in the medicinal plants and this type of things, and I would say hospitals in general. So there were lots of doctors from Germany. And Mr. Pearl, well, the father of Alexander Pearl, he opened the first pharmacy, and he also had a degree of a pharmacist himself. So he started to make uh, drugs because he had a license to do that, and his medicine was really good. It was so good that eventually it was given the title of the official supplier of the royal court of the Romanovs, which was the great success and recognition. So eventually, some 15 years after he established the business, he in the early 1900s managed to buy a bigger plot of land, and he built this big house, which would be three in one: the pharmacy, the offices of the pharmacy, and also the residential building. It would be the tenant house, so he would be renting out lots of apartments. That's just amazing. He killed so many birds with one stone. We had a very detailed tour in the pharmacy of Mr. Pearl in January this year. So I'm not going into details, but the story has it that then after he built this house, he he gave the business to his son, Alexander William Pearl, the one that whose photo we have just seen. And but he wasn't going to die, and uh, Wilhelm Pearl, senior, he lived for another 15 or 17 years. So what was he busy with? That's a good question. We don't know. There is no information about it whatsoever. But much later, already in the modern times, in the post-Soviet times, this building ha- uh, it had an office. It just well, the building would have many offices, just different companies renting a place from the in the building, and people started well, all of a sudden, people working in that office started feeling really bad, and nobody knew why. But eventually, the company had to close down, maybe because the employees would be spending most of the time on a sick leave. We don't know. But then they were doing some renovations there, and they found out that well, they discovered loads of mercury, and all of a sudden everyone just uh, had an idea that it's probably that Mr. Pearl had his thank you, Ronaldin, had his had different experiments, and he was alchemist because mercury was used for by alchemists a lot. And also there was another legend in connection with the big chimney. The chimney was important because it needed very good ventilation for a pharmacy, and also for the alchemy. But everyone, it was just I would say that was a very strange looking chimney in the backyard. And whenever people in St. Petersburg saw something weird or something just stood out, they would often come up with a legend. So there is a legend that the Griffons, whom we also saw on the bridge next, in the embankment next to the Sphinxes, so that every night a Griffin would fly to the tower and do something. And some people would claim that the Mr. Pearl Senior never really died. He just he managed to create the drug of for the eternal life, and or maybe he just reincarnated into that griffon and just flew away. So that's the legend, obviously, but the story with the
And
mercury
as I
is
said,
real.
I never show up and on the same costume twice. So tomorrow's going to be something
That's
special as
true.
well. Okay, just one more time laughing hysterical after the Sex Pistols thing. Okay. Okay, why not? Anyway, thank you everyone and see you tomorrow. Hope to see you tomorrow. Bye bye everyone. Thank you.
That was really silly, but I remember most of it really well. So let's have a short Q&A, and we are going to overrun today a little bit, just a little bit. So that's kind of a surprise. It was a surprise to me, and it was really hard just not to share it the moment Richard sent me those videos because it was really special. I felt so horrible just for not having access to so many wonderful tours. And again, I know that for some of you it's all new, so this is just I would say it's a win-win. Thank you, Ronaldin. Thank you so much. And so I'm pretty sure that some of you actually remember this, had an innocence about you that we have this wonderful tour. Me too. Me too. Let me try. Okay, I can still do that. I can still do that. I don't recall watching a pharmacy tour. Oh, okay. Well, remind me and I can send you the recording. It was a very detailed tour of the pharmacy because the pharmacy is a museum now. Actually, the pharmacy existed up until 2017, 2000, no, even, yeah, around 2017. But then it closed and it was turned into a museum. Just found the photos from the White Lady Halloween tour. Wow, Joanne, amazing. No, the pharmacy tour I did just in January this year because Alec went to film it. I asked him to film it. Yes, yeah. You remember see the pharmacy tour. Yeah, because it was not long ago. But just remind me to send you the recording, Dolly. Actually, it's available for my supporters. As you know, all the recordings, and now there are over 400 of them are available for my supporters. Yeah. Let me just once again share the links. Yeah, but if you can't find it because it's just it was the series of tours on the Vasiliki Island, so it could have just missed some of them. But I will also try to look into it. Hi, Liz Marie. It was a very good quality. Thank you, Richard, for recording this. Yeah, I'm just going to take the photo and send Richard because yeah, we should all thank him. The record of the pharmacy tour. I will find it. And yes, there's never a problem to send a couple of videos. So I will just just make sure you somehow remind me of that, or at least do I have your email, Lynn Marie? So that would be great to know. So please feel free to send me your email in the DM, be it Messenger or Instagram, and I'll gladly send you the link. Hi, Patrick. Did you feel any activity personally when you went to St. Petersburg? It always felt a bit weird, to be honest, in the Rapine Street. This is true. But that's because I know the story. It's just knowing the story and how creepy it was. There were piles of dead body. According to some memories, and because some people survived the siege eventually, even though the death toll was enormous, up to 1 million people altogether. It's some people claim that it would be much higher than even the height of an average human, and it would be the entire street, which was quite long. It's narrow, but it's quite long. But I've never seen any ghosts. No, I've never seen any ghosts. But I'm not saying there are none. And we're going to be talking about one very famous ghost just now after the Q&A. If you go to YouTube, we see no Lynn Marie. I only keep. I think it is important to mention. So I only keep the recordings of my tours in open access for 1 week, and then it goes to the playlist for my supporters. What is all sponsors? This is the extra payment, monthly payment, 10 US dollars, and there is the access to these 400 videos 24/7, as well as the Zoom get-togethers, which I thought I would be doing once a month, but I normally do them once in 2 months. And after my mom leaves next week, I will run another Zoom get together for my supporters. We call them sleeping policemen in England. Huh, interesting. Valpur, actually, I have the video of Viborg. Yes, Yes, I asked Oleg to go there too. I will be doing Viborg. Amazing. You know Viborg. I love Viborg a lot. I will be doing the tours of Viborg. I was planning to do that around Christmas time. Yay! Fantastic. Never seen ghosts, but have felt sudden cold chills and then unexplainable and taps on my shoulder. Yeah, the chills. Yeah. So it's not like that I really would like to encounter any of that, to be honest. Okay, now let's continue. Okay, just double checking that the sound is on. So, uh, the well known ghost in St. Petersburg will be the ghost of Emperor Paul I, who was son of Catherine the Great. And according to Catherine the Great, he wasn't supposed to rule the country at all. She just wanted to keep him, so his son, Emperor Alexander I, would rule the country. She hated Paul because Paul was the constant reminder of her husband, whom she had dethroned and allegedly commissioned to, well, ordered to kill. So her husband was killed, and Catherine ruled instead of him, and also as a regent to her own son for 32 years. Once Catherine the Great died in 1796, Paul managed to jump at the opportunity and became a monarch. And he was in a hurry because he waited for so long to be able to succeed to the throne, and he started building himself a big palace. Actually not palace, sorry, castle, Michael's castle, named after Archangel Michael. And Paul would also always admired Emperor Peter the Great, who established the city. And Paul was always into mysticism and conspiracy theories. He was really insecure with lots of issues that he he, he really his mom damaged him a lot, his uh, his soul and his mind. So they had really horrible relationship. So, and there are lots of mysteries around the construction of the castle, and I also have a video of the castle just some 5 weeks, 4 weeks ago. Oleg went there to film it for us inside because as you know, some of you may remember what happened inside that castle, but the rest I will tell you in a little bit. Um, well, as you know, Paul admired Peter the Great, and some claim that he claimed that he actually had seen the ghost of Emperor Peter the Great, as if he passed by Paul, who walked at night around the construction, well, not at night, but in the evening around the construction site, and Peter the Great just passed by him. That it was told not by just someone, but by the emperor himself, and it was just one of the stories in connection with some suspicious activity, paranormal activity in around Emperor Paul. And also another story is that there was a pilgrim lady who who managed to tell the future. She could see the future. So she said that Paul would live exactly for as long as there are a number of letters on the facade, and there is a quotation from the New Testament, and there are 41 letters in on the facade, and he died when he was 41, just about to become 41, and also uh, he ruled for 4 years, for months, and 4 days only. He died in 1801, and he was killed in his own castle that was supposed to be the most impregnable castle in the entire city. Actually, this is the only castle. It even had a moat.
Come on, come on. And I heard so many different things, so many different stories that some of them are pretty creepy. Come on, follow me, follow me. and that's my magic ball. Why is called Spilled Blood Cathedral? Because the blood. Is it the right side? Oh, it's here. Where is it? Here? Is it here? Okay. Is the blood here? I hope so. So it was the ghost of Peter the Great. Paul talked to him, and Paul heard him saying, "Poor Pavel, poor Paul." So in Russian, his name is Pavel. Poor Paul, poor Paul. And so, and for Paul, it automatically meant that something would go wrong. And from that day till the last breath of Paul, Paul would be afraid of murders, assassinations, plots, and everything.
So that's another costume. That's the white lady costume that I had. I rented all these dresses. It cost really an arm and a leg, but I was so invested into this, and we had so much fun. And I still remember that. Obviously, it's different now, but I would never forget that. And this is Misha. At that point, he wasn't really that present on my tours, but now, as you know, he does even his own series on the history of the Russian Empire, and the next episode is this Sunday. So, and as a, in connection, well, getting back to Emperor Paul, so he was killed in his own castle, in his own bedroom by his own people.
And I can't wait to see you next week for my more Halloween tours again. Some creepy stories to make your blood run cold next weekend. 2 more tours. Thank you everyone. Can't thank you enough.
And after that, the castle went empty. Nobody wanted to live there. And I'll get back just here for a moment. Later on, a few years later, an engineering school moved into this. And by the way, one of the students of that engineering school was Fyodor Dostoevsky. I actually have a video of the museum apartment of Fyodor Dostoevsky, and I promised to run a tour in there, so I would. I will. And well, the students of this engineering school claim that they had seen a ghost of Emperor Paul who uh, had something on his face around the temple. And the thing is that now we know that Emperor Paul was killed by a snuff box. Someone hit him with a snuff box in the temple because he tried to fight. He didn't want to be killed. Um, we know it now, but at that point, nobody knew that because the official diagnosis would be just the blood hemorrhage, nothing, not really much details. And obviously, there was no way that just ordinary people could see the the body. So it was interesting. Was an interesting detail that was added. Well, I will be doing more tours about Michael's castle. We will see the room where the murder happened. We will talk in more detail because there were a lot more paranormal activity at times of Emperor Paul and afterwards. But we need to move on because there is just one more tour I would like to share with you, one more place.
Next weekend, 2 more tours. Thank you everyone. Can't thank you enough.
So we are in the completely different area of St. Petersburg. This is the bypass canal that was built at times of Catherine the Great in the attempt to, well, I would say minimize risks of flood, to divert the excess of waters from the Neva River, from the main, I would say main Neva River. It didn't help. It never really helped, but it just started the development of the new neighborhood. And this has always been, it still is a very industrial area. But it's still quite a prestigious place to live in. There are lots of current 20th century buildings, but I would say after the revolution in 1920s, the city needed lots of revamping in general, and they were building the new system of pipes, they fixing something, and on the bottom, and they needed to divert the water from the canal. So on the bottom of the canal, they started digging, and they came across an interesting stone in the round shape with some runic inscriptions on it. There is no photo of the exact of the exact thing that they found, but I was able to find something I would say similar, just for you to have an idea. And it was placed in the center, and there were also some stones around it. And obviously the workers had no idea what it was, and they needed to. Mm. Thank you so much, Joanne, for the coffees. Thank you. And they needed to let just to do something about it. So eventually they called for okay.
Oh, Richard, you're here. Thank you for dropping by. Thank you. So I haven't introduced myself properly, maybe. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just taking this short, I'm just taking a short break to introduce myself. I am Baba Yaga. I'm a Russian folk character. Basically, I sort of represent the world of the dead.
Yeah, and speaking of the dead, there was really the very proper costume, the proper story, because well, and actually the discovery was made by the bridge called Baravoy Bridge, and they called for an archaeologist and a historian. And when the historian came, he claimed the name of archaeologist was Gvozdinsky. There's no really information about him other than his birth year and also the story in connection with the finding. So Gwezinski claimed that those were the ruins or the traces of the burial site from the pagan Finnish peoples, and nobody was supposed to do anything with it. So the best case scenario would be we'll be talking about the psychologist Yefim Son a bit later, but the best case scenario would be just to fill it up and build a pipeline somewhere else, which was not possible, right? It was absolutely impossible, and they took all the stones and well, this is approximately what the center of the composition looked like. Again, this is not the original, but something similar according to the descriptions. It fits, I would say. And also, they took those slabs of stones, granite, and they made the sidewalk with the stones. And it was the burial site of the 11th century.
I'd like to start also. The pagan tribes that lived here, they would sacrifice babies and young ladies to the gods. After knowing that, they killed the people in the tribes.
So the story has it that well, the pagan Finnish peoples had always lived in these lands, and when the Swedish came in the 1600s and taken these lands from the Novgorod Principality, and at that point there were still pagan tribes living here. The Swedish would be coming off and on. The Swedish came in the 12th century, in the 14th century, and later on in the 1600s. So when they came for the first time, they just decided to fight it. And the legend has it that those Swedish people, well, they were Christians, and they needed to fight the paganism. And what they did, they decided to kill the people in that tribe because that well, human sacrifice was not acceptable.
And you know what? And it is even reflected in the chronicles. So around 1300s, there was the very first oldest Swedish written piece. It was the Chronicles, like the epic tale. The information about the Erik's Kröniken. Erik's Magnusson was the character. So, and there they describe the numerous uh, camps, the numerous campaigns now to oust the pagan tribes, and to conquer the lands. And the Swedish uh, managed to come here and conquer these lands for a while, so you can see. And exactly on those slabs of granite, the Gwozditsky, that architect, managed to find the similar inscriptions and similar drawings. Again, as I say this, we never saw that granite slabs. So
But so eventually they destroyed everything, and just the same year, 1924, the all of a sudden again people started to commit suicide by the in the Bodny Canal. People just would go and just jump into the water in just 1 year. If throughout 1925, 1924, there were 89 cases of suicide by the Bodny Canal, not far from the Borovoi Bridge. And this is the official information. It's all in the archives. That this is true. Obviously, I never saw the archives, but this this is the information from the reliable sources. So it's not just a city legend. And then the same would happen the next year. And then for some reason it would be quiet, but 10 years later the situation would repeat. And this is when the Yefimson, the psychologist, he actually happened to be one of those people who experienced something really, really strange in that area. Actually, there were several people that survived, that were taken out of the water before they drowned. And those people would explain that as they were passing by the canal, all of a sudden, some force, some energy talked to them and just really drove them to the water and drove them into the water. And they couldn't control themselves. They were in complete oblivion. And Yefim Son happened to experience something very similar, but he was stopped, so he didn't jump. And then he contacted the archaeologist Bonsinski, and this is when Yefim Son had he had some connections. He knew some people in high places, and he even tried to talk to the head of the city, but nothing happened. No, there was nothing that could at least somehow change the situation. Normally, according to traditions, according to old Slavic traditions, in any place that had some paranormal activity, there would be they would build a church to kind of for extra protection. And there was a church by the canal. You might have seen just bits of it. But other than that, nothing happened. And then every 10 years, up until 1970s and 1980s, the same would happen again. There would be just every 10 years, there would be all of a sudden an influx in suicide cases. So the Halloween part is over now. And my actual replay is just about to begin, as far as I remember. But this is the premiere, and you will be able to watch it. It's going to be there for another week. But I just thought it would be a good idea to share with you some bits from that tour, because it was the tour I never repeat again. I never repeated this tour, and I was never able to go back to that area again. So it was a very, very one-off tour, and the place we went in the end was quite special. So I would like to share those memories with you as well. But if you're in a hurry and if you are here just to experience just for Halloween, for Halloween related content, we're done with the Halloween. Now it's just something else.
So from a Baba Yaga Russian folktale character, oh, I actually like my eyebrows. They look cool. Wow. So I've turned into a gypsy lady, and I've taken you to this a very special place, a very secret place, a very offbeat, located somewhere lost on the territory of the former industrial facility. Just think of this. Thank you, everyone, for spending your Sunday with me. How important my tools are, friend. In
I will get back to this. Let me just wind a little bit. We will get to that too. So, but just a few things that right now I'm walking on the territory of the big enterprise that used to produce some rubber shoes and other items made from rubber. And in the 90s, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, the building would be neglected, and little by little, in like 2020s, they started to bring the building back to life. And there were also some squatters before that. There would be some small enterprises, some small shops, workshops open, and we're
I look
going to
more
see
like a
one.
gypsy because there is no way I can handle this nose and all these bookers picking up. Uh, okay, so now I'm gonna be a gypsy girl with a red nose. Okay, it's still I can still feel it, which is good. And that's Misha. He has no idea what I'm doing here. Nobody knows what I'm doing here, but I'm taking you to a secret location. It's really secret.
That's what what the location looks now. And it was a big joint venture, by the way, Russian and American. It was Russian American joint venture rubber, of rubber products. Huge, right? And that's what it looked. Actually, it still pretty much looks the same.
Just see this. It's like the haunted house, like the haunted factory house. This is this is crazy. I should tell you, you should. I wish you were here to see this. The old tiles. You can imagine how many people. Да, мы сейчас придем. Да. Мы сейчас придем. Have a look. It's not a museum. Yes, it's not a museum. It's not because it's not a drug town. There is a special place. This looks quite spooky. Who could that be? I can't recognize. Do you know, Mish? Who's that? Have a look. There is a Soviet flag, but that's all right because this is a post-Soviet industrial facility. Just 2 more minutes and we're done. Karen, this is it. Have a look. You definitely wouldn't have, you just definitely didn't expect that. Yeah. Isn't it mind-boggling? Have a look. So these are the vintage clothing. This is the real vintage clothing and also the upcycle clothing. And then you've had an open mic. And you see hammocks because they're doing yoga in hammocks here as well. This does look like a den a little bit, but it's not. There's people actually for health lifestyle, yoga, many of them are vegan and they just, I smell some incense. This is so cool. Oh, thank you, Jackie. Golden triangle. Oh, the red triangle. Why am I calling it golden triangle? This is the red triangle. So I think I actually look pretty much just perfect for the location and for the occasion. Don't you think so? Thank you, everyone, for spending your Sunday with me.
And my nose. It looks like a really it looks like a thing on my neck, but this is my nose. So the facility is called, well, the factory is called the Red Triangle. Now, here is something I wanted to share as a bit of a, I would say, thank you. Oh,
You, everyone, for spending your Sunday with me. How important my tools are, friend. In the sorry, until I took you to, I never knew that countries like mine, people are like mine. Oh, thank you so much. I have your. I'm sure that People in your country don't look like this. I'm sure, I hope, I'm sure they don't. I'm sure, but this is so heartwarming. Thank you so much.
So on that tour, after I finished that tour, I got a very long message from one of the viewers. Well, this lady left that comment, and I replied, and that was message. In a nutshell, it was just she just claimed that for many years, she's from the States. She she used to live on thinking that people in Russia are horrible, and well, she obviously she didn't travel much, and she was so happy that through my tours and also through Go, she managed to change her attitude on about many things, and I helped her defy some of the stereotypes. And I was touched. It really made me cry. And now, in this new reality, and after I watch again some news program, I very often remember these words, and then I think that okay, so now we're back to square one. Yeah, but well, I'm so happy that we've been able to see this, that we actually have the even a lower quality, but it's still the only thing we have. So thank you so much, Richard, for making it possible for me to revisit not just the places, but revisit the past. Absolutely, absolutely remarkable. And thank you so much, everyone, for keeping me company down this memory lane. But also, we we had a tour. We talked about the stories, and again, this is not just the story without any reason in them. No, those are the actual stories, and then the rest, that's just how the legends work. And tomorrow, when I take you to Tbilisi, well, not the tour with my mom, but the Halloween theme tour, I will be mostly talking about the real things. Um, yeah. Did you ever consider playing in the theater? Oh, I used to play in the theater, Dolly, a lot. Very amateur. Yeah, a lot. It's starting from school. Lots of lovely memories. Thank you, Joanne. Yeah, absolutely. It was really great. Really. It made me cry. It made me laugh so much. Mostly cry, I would say. Mostly cry. So, thank you so much, Lynn Marie. Thank you. I will try to send the recordings, probably not just tonight. We'll see, because I have another tour to prepare. And on my YouTube, you will be able to find the recordings as of the previous week and also this one. I will be uploading tonight a tour that we did in the Museum of Funeral Practices last night. We didn't have time to do it before, well, earlier. And you have the link to my YouTube channel. You have the link to my website where you can find the links for the next couple of weeks. And more tours are being added almost all the time. At least every week I send the newsletter. And if you're not subscribed to my newsletter, there is a link on my website, anayaguide.com, just to sign for my newsletter. And once a week, I will be sending you the schedule. And I would appreciate your support. You know how tips are important for us virtual guides. So it could be a coffee, it could be a PayPal. And well, in the second week of November, I will be doing the Zoom get together with my supporters, and I will be sharing lots of things um, well, in connection with my mom's visits and many other things. There's a lot. There's a lot that I would like to share. I just wish I had more time before that, but it was really, really, really busy here. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. Thank you for your support. Thank you for, well, enjoying this uh, memories, and those who hadn't seen the tours. I mean, this is all new and it's so nice pub you guys have the I know the restaurant. I've never been there, but I know of the place. Yes, Dolly, I know. The costumes were really good, and they also were really costly. Well, I just rented them. I mean, they didn't cost me a fortune, but I was really, really invested into those stores. This is true, literally and metaphorically. We'll be in touch for the tour in Viborg for really. Well, that for then you may want to subscribe to my newsletter. I'm thinking I will be doing the Viborg tours in December. That was my plan. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ron and Lynn. Did you keep any of the costumes? No, 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 no. I just rented them um, from one of the theater places that I used to um, rent costumes for my theater stuff. Yeah, just that. See you very soon. Yes, so right now, shortly, there's going to be the replay on YouTube of my one-off Halloween tour in Asheville National Park. Back in Israel, it was Halloween 2022. Yeah, I'll be there, clearly. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, everyone, and bye-bye.